Welcome back to At Home with Roby. I'm Patrick McIsaac from Roby Electric and W.H. Hobbs Plumbing, along with Trent Haston from the Roby family of companies. Trent, got Mr. Lebda in the house.
We do have Mr. Lebda. I think we need to shut down our services growth, because if you add another tagline name to your tagline, we're in trouble.
It's getting a little long, isn't it?
Hogging up the segment. Doug, thanks for being here. I think you got us. You got us all salivating on the first segment. You were with us talking about your story. Give us some more on entrepreneurship. I just think you are like the pinnacle of entrepreneur. What you've done, where you came from. I mean, you gave it a year. You moved to Charlotte in '97. I mean, goodness
right
gracious.
During the like we called the .com bubble was there.
Yep.
I mean, it's pretty remarkable.
Yep. So I'll give you 30 seconds on my story, maybe a minute, and then talk more broadly. But started the company when I was in business school at Darden. That first year, decided to give it a year. That summer, was able to raise some money through a variety of people who really took a leap. The biggest thing throughout the story I can tell you is the number one question that any entrepreneur can ask is, what would it take? So when you ask somebody, what would it take to have you invest in my business? What would it take to have you let me do a project for you? What would it take for you to be my client? People will tell you. And my first investor told me, and that's what we now call in the entrepreneurship literature and geeking out, skin in the game. So when somebody puts skin in the game, whether it's an employee, an advisor, a board member, a client, or whatever, when they're willing to put skin in the game, that's when entrepreneurs do what's called a pivot. And you pivot towards where people are actually willing to put skin in the game instead of what you might have envisioned purely as your future. For us, that was first my initial investor. And then for a while, it took us to get lenders. And we had to actually build websites for Bank of America and Wachovia at the time, when Wachovia was up in Winston-Salem. And we had to build them websites in 97, 98, because we couldn't get lenders on the networks. And they wanted to pay us a lot of money to build them a website where they could take a form and send it their own bank. They paid us enough money that it built our entire technology base, which basically gave us the ability to start, because I wouldn't have had the ability to raise that much money. And then in a marketplace business, we're adding lenders, we're trying to get customers, et cetera. But that what would it take moment, and then what we also call in the literature the bird in the hand. You start with what you know, who you know, and what assets you have. And then from there, the best entrepreneurs start at that level and then try to trade things with each other, try not to just raise money. And try to start what they know, and then just sort of, I call it the rinse and repeat. And you keep growing more contacts, you keep growing more business, and then you go from there.
So 20 years ago, I've heard you say that. You got me all. I got butterflies in my chest. If you're tuning in, you're listening to At Home with Roby show on this Sunday morning. We have Doug Lebda, founder and CEO of Lendingtree. Proud to have him living and residing and doing his business based out of Charlotte, North Carolina. Mail your money in, because he's just giving valuable resources left and right.
I don't know about that.
It's like Business 101 up at Darden. Okay, so that was 20 years ago. I think it's great. You get people bought in, you get them to have skin in the game, and then it was just butterflies and rainbows for the last 20 years, right?
Nope. It's been incredible ups and downs, going through the .com bust, the .com selling the company in 2003, moving to New York for working for IAC, spinning it out, having it be worth nothing again. And one of the best things I think entrepreneurs and people in business can capitalize on, or people anywhere, is knowing your business better than the public knows your business. So when you know things are good, I always say that the internal, whether you think you're doing well and whether the public thinks you're doing well, is never in sync. And then what you have to do over time is learn how to capitalize, which took me a long time, on when the differences matter. So that's when you sell, that's when you buy, that's when you make moves, is when you know things are either worse or better than the public knows. And right now, things at Lendingtree are way better than the public gets, and they're starting to come around to it because this is coming online.
No, it's fun. It's fun to watch.
Yeah, I think the public, I mean, based on your stock price has doubled year over year. I mean, I would imagine if you think things are still way better, that must be not that we can internally say that, but we can read through the lines. That's wonderful to hear, Doug.
Well, and it's you guys are going through the same thing, which is, and a lot of your listeners will too, going from an entrepreneurial business to scaling that, where you start off really as an insurgent. You start off trying to take over the market. You guys have done the same thing, and you're an insurgent. And then at some point, you have to make sure that bureaucracy doesn't creep in, that you can still maintain that founder's mentality, that entrepreneurial edge. And that's hard as heck to do.
No, it is. And you're right. It's always like, you're going, man, why is the public not seeing what we're doing? Why is our customers not seeing what we're doing? When are we going to get there? I feel like we're there. I feel like we're there. And then Zoom, it all hits, and it's a euphoric moment. So, I mean, I think it's great to see. So how is Lendingtree now branching out from home loans? I mean, that's what you started. Lenders compete for you on a home loan. To what all services are you guys providing, taking you into the future?
Right. So the thing that gets me the most fired up is really fulfilling the original vision of Lendingtree. So now we've got lenders and personal loans, home equity, auto, and credit cards, and we're growing all those businesses, and we're growing them because lenders want to get customers, and we can provide a better way for them to get customers.
Makes sense.
The thing that makes me the most excited is what we call My Lendingtree, which is basically an alert-based product, and I hate to just shill my own stuff, but imagine somebody can set up an account on Lendingtree and they don't need to worry about ever applying for a loan again. If they have a mortgage and they can save money on a mortgage, we let them know, and we save them money. If they can take their personal loans and refinance them so that they can get a home equity loan if they're a homeowner, we help them do that. We recently had a project. We always like to center our projects around a given person. And we recently took a guy in Charlotte who had a lousy credit score for a certain reason, and we increased his credit score by 100 points. And now he can afford to get a secured credit card, believe it or not. And then he can climb the credit ladder, and we'll help him do that. And then we'll replicate that for everybody else. So we really want to help everybody from the person who's challenged of getting credit the most, who was probably in a check cashing store, who if they can't get that, they're going to a guy who breaks your kneecaps if you can't repay your loan. Yep. And then we want to help professionalize the whole system and help people save money. Right now in personal loans, the difference between the lowest and the highest is 5%. Between the lowest and the high, 500 basis points, and we're hoping to compress that over time.
That's awesome. I mean, you're right, because there's really not much options for somebody that gets in that position at the check cashing place. And to your point, if you can't go there, then there's really nowhere else to go. So that's really cool to be able to scale that. It's got to make you feel good too.
We want to help everybody from. Doesn't matter who it is. Lenders competing makes sense if you can create a competitive marketplace, and you can also help the lender in addition to helping the customer. You can help the customer save money. You can help the lenders access people that meet their individual credit criteria.
I mean, I kind of emulate it. I mean, you're growing from a silo business to an umbrella business to be able to provide services for everybody. And provide multiple services for people, which you give them the full circle.
Lifetime value, just like you guys do.
That's it, man. For life, for generations is actually what we say.
As you guys know, you acquire a customer once, and it's better to keep them than it is to go convince somebody else to come in again.
Right.
So I always say I want to be their best service provider, Doug. We're blessed to get to serve you and your family and some of your household needs and business needs. It's the same thing. If they put their profile on Lendingtree helps them out and helps them find value, then you're going to get more opportunities to keep finding value for that client.
You got it. And I think the thing expanding just for me is that anyway, if you really walk in the shoes of a customer. And the other thing I call it is Jim Collins used to call it, get wet feet make boots. Whenever you're walking around and you have a problem and you get frustrated, you can either get frustrated and complain about it, or you can do something about it. And those are usually the opportunities where there's an entrepreneurial opportunity to step in and do something.
Well, Doug, thank you so much for our friendship. Thank you for the business that you allow us to serve you for. And thank you for founding and running such a valuable company for Charlotte and the U.S., Lendingtree. How can people find out about Lendingtree?
You go to lendingtree.com and just hit us up for whatever you want, and it's free. If it doesn't work for you, let us know. Give us feedback. All of our lenders have ratings and reviews, and we want to help you do business. And if we can't, if you can find a better deal, we want you to take it.
And check out his new commercials. Doug Lebda, Lendingtree. We'll be right back.